Good morning, Morai Rabotai. We are continuing on Mesechet Avodah Zarah on the bottom of Daf Ayin Aleph Amud Bet. 4 lines up from the bottom of the Amud. Today's Amud is being learned. Zechut Refuah Shelema, Rachel Simcha Bat Nahid, Yasmin Bat Sarah, Shaharam Shalom Ben Turan, Refuah Shelema. Amen. So we have started a discussion whether or not a goy that does mishicha, is that a modality of kinyan that works by goyim, or is that a modality that doesn't work by goyim? We spoke about Machloket Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan regarding Jews, and now we're in the middle of discussion. If a goy does mishicha, pulls something towards him as means of acquirement, is that a kinyan that is mo'il, that works, or is that a kinyan that doesn't work? It was Machloket Amimar and Rav Ashi. Amimar holds that it does, and Rav Ashi holds that it doesn't. And we went back and forth, and here is the rest of this. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says, well, this is a tashma that the Gemara brings. This is Ravina now, the Chavruta, the Chaver of Rav Ashi. Ravina and Rav Ashi wrote the Gemara, the authors of the Gemara together. Now Ravina tells Rav Ashi, I have a proof for Amemar that kinyan of Meshicha does work for a goy, not like you, Rav Ashi. So what is his proof? Tashma. Come and listen. The Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Benoach ne'erak al pachot mishaveh pruta. A goy that stole money, one of the 7 Noahite laws is, Lo tignov, do not steal something that's a possession of someone else. But whereas by Jews, if you steal something that's less than shaveh pruta, you're not chayav midoraita. You're not obligated in the regular obligations of lo tignov, unless it is shaveh pruta. What's shaveh pruta? Something that has buying power of some sort. You could buy something of value with it, but if it's, let's say, if 1 cent, United States dollar amount, doesn't have any buying power nowadays. So if you stole a cent from someone, that's not in the same category of lotignov of the oraita. But for a goy, any amount of value of money that you steal, even less than shaveh peruta, you're chayav, and for them, you're chayav mitah. Ne'erag, the Berenoach, the 7 mitzvot that they do have, it is far more severe punishment than them. But with regards to this specific one, is because Berenoach are not mochel. A yid is mochel if you steal something small. If something small goes wrong, it's not shaveh pruta. It's rahmanim b'nei rahmanim. It's not a big deal. By goy, there's no mechila. So therefore, even that small, minute amount matters to make it like a regular lotignov, and a ben noach is neherag al geneva, and hence ben noach neherag al pachot mishaveh pruta, says Rabbi Yochanan. Velo nitan leishavon, and it's not given to be returned. In other words, whereas by a Jew, if he stole, you have a mitzvah of hishavon, you have a mitzvah of nechziret hagezela asher gazal, that you have to return this stolen object. Over here, if you stole less than shaveh pruta, the two different things in Rishonim over here, Rashi and Tosafot, it's not nitan le'eshavon because the mitzvah veheshivet hagezela asher gazal is said only about Yidden, about Jews. So therefore the goyim don't have it. Once you stole, you have broken something that's not fixable in that way. The avera is not fixable. And secondly, says the Gemara, because you don't have to, like Rashi says over here, you don't have to give it because the Jew already was mochel. Right? That's a smaller than Shabbat Peruta if the goy stole. Velo michayev la'ahdura lehai Yisrael ta'machil Allah, says Rashi. He already was mochel, therefore you don't have to give it back. But what's the point over here? Says the Gemara, Ve'yamrad meshicha be'ut kochavim ena koneh. If you say the meshicha does not work, when the goy took this that it belongs to a Jew, now he took it to his possession, if that act of acquisition, of taking it to his domain, which we call it in the language of the Gemara, Meshicha, if that does not make it his, why would he be Chayav Mitah? Yes, I'm borrowing. If you would catch him, what would he say? I'm borrowing it, right? So he's borrowing it halachically if it's not his. Only he could make him Chayav Mitah only if he is koneh vit meshicha. That's the only way that he could be Chayav Mitah, right? We all agree on that. So says Ravina, the Rav Ashi, I have a perfect proof for you. Rabbi Yochanan says that a goy that takes less than shavet pruta worth of money from he's Chayav Mitah. How did he become Chayav Mitah if Meshicha is not koneh by goyim? So it must be that Meshicha is koneh by goyim. Says Rav Ashi pushes back, says no, it's not the reason. Mishum nesare leYisrael. You know why? Because he inflicted pain on the Jew. He's not Chayav Mitah because he stole less than Shavet Pruta, because that you're not Koneh with Meshicha. But the agony that you cause for someone that lost something and now he doesn't know where it is and it's stolen or whatever, as small as he may be or as big as he may be, right? It's not a matter of taking. You took a watch. You took less or more than Shavet Pruta. But the fact that he is missing it and now he's agonizing over where this is, and he lost it, something that he was using. That, says the Gemara, is cause of his demise. That's why he's going to be Chayav Mitah. Says the Gemara, wait a second. Umay lo nitan lehishavon de'eno betorat hishavon. Right? What does it mean? Lo nitan lehishavon. What does that mean? The lo nitan lehishavon. It means that you cannot return that thing because of the mechila of the yid, or because it's not, you cannot really fix it. So says the Gemara. In other words, this is what Rav Ashi pushes back with. He says, well, it's not necessarily even talking about a less than Shavet Pruta. It says, when a goy takes something from a yid, and you say he's Chayav Mitah, let's imagine it's a watch. It's not because halachically now the Meshicha is koneh, but rather you are bothering somebody, right? The halacha is that if you steal the Shcharuch Paskins in Siman Shin Memchet, Achoshev Mishpat, if you steal for fun, that means you don't just bother somebody, right? You don't have to, he goes to wash his hands, he takes his watch off, he puts it on the floor, on the thing to go wash for a motzi. He comes, you take it, you put it there, you want to give it back to him in 30 seconds, just want him to come and see he's not there and go haywire. That is included in stealing. You're bothering him, right? Stealing the haknid to bother someone is also considered as, which is really, even though the Shita Mekubetzet there says, imken lo matzanu yadenu v'raglenu bebet hamidrash, says people do this all the time, but nevertheless, Shcharuch Paskins that that's considered an isur because, and it's in part of Chod Gezela and Geneva, because you are bothering somebody. In that way, of course, the Saberet HaOzen, that is something of that nature over here as well. So says the Gemara, Ihachi, so he comes back now, Ravina to Rav Ashi, says he can't say that. Why? Because Ihachi e masefa. If that's correct, look at the sefer of what Rabbi Yochanan paskin. Again, this is a halacha from Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said that if a goy stole even Shavet Pruta, becomes neherag, stealing from a yid. But then at the end of the same sentence he says, B'chavero untala mimenu. If now the friend of the Oved Kochavim comes, another Oved Kochavim comes and steals it from him, right? Gonev mina ganav. Then he's neherag. Neherag aleh. The second guy also gets killed. Why? He's not bothering the Jew any more than the first guy. He doesn't even know that the thief was robbed. If anything, he would be happier that, the guy that did wrong is now not benefiting from it. But nevertheless, it didn't certainly not inflict any extra pain on the Yid. And yet, the goy who stole from a goy is nerag. So says the Gemara, Bishlama Resha Mishum Desare Yisrael. According to you, Ravashi, the first one is killed because he inflicted pain on the original owner. I can understand that. But the second one, Elasefa, my Avid. The Sefa, the guy in the Sefa did not do anything. He just stole from a thief. And they're both Obdei Kochavim. So there's no infliction of pain on a Yid. So says the Gemara, Elashma Mina, Meshicha be'Obdei Kochavim, Kone Shema Mina. From here you see, says Ravina, that Meshicha by a Goy works as a modality of Kinyan, a halachically valid modality of Kinyan. Shmamina, that's the maskana of the Gemara, that the Meshicha is Koneh by of the Kochavim. Now, the Rishonim bring over here that Shitat Rashi seems to be, you have it in Kiddushin, Yudalit, and so on, that Shita of Rashi is that it's not Koneh. Right, so the Tosafot over there asked on Rashi, so wait a second, how about the Maskana of the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, Daf Ayin Bet Amud Aleph? Why, you think Rashi missed the Gemara? So say the Ramban over there explains that no, Rashi, Kedarko B'Kodesh, this which I'm going to say right now, which the Ramban says, answers probably 90+% of the machlokets of Rashi and Tosafot across Shas. Rashi and Tosafot have a fundamental disagreement of how to learn the Gemara, right? Whereas the Tosafot feel that the entire Shas has to work together, and therefore everything that they explain is, how about this Gemara and that line over here and this here, and everything has to mash together in one perfect, seamless passage. The entire Gemara has to work like that. Rashi explains every Gemara according to what that Gemara is, and Ramban writes that over there Rashi is explaining Shita of Resh Lakish, and Resh Lakish, according to the understanding of Rashi in the Sugya, Resh Lakish holds Meshicha Begoy Eina Koneh. That's why he's explaining that. He doesn't tell you in that way, because he's explaining that daf, which is dealing with the Shita of Resh Lakish. Hence, Rashi explains it based on the understanding needed for that piece of the Gemara, but not that he holds that the Maskana is that way, because he also knows about the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Daf Ayin Amud Bet, and Bet Amud Aleph, that Meshicha Begoy is Koneh. So therefore, it seems from all the Rishonim, really, according to the Ramban, that this is an undisputable thing, that Meshicha by a Goy is Koneh, and that's what the Rishonim say. Now that's, by the way, in parentheses, going towards the Mechirat Chametz in the days to come, that's why we do all of these other things, because if you had Meshicha, if you would give your Chametz to Goy and would take it home, that would be Koneh according to everyone. The whole Mechirat Chametz would take 1 minute, and you would be gone and safe and sound. But we do like 7 modalities, 6 or 7 modalities, depending on if you do Odita or not, of modalities of Kinyan. But because each one of them is more questionable than this one. The Kinyan Kesef is questionable, Kinyan Chatzer is questionable, Agav is questionable. All of those things are more questionable than this, because this has a clear maskara, at least in the Gemara, that seems to paskin that Meshicha be'Oved Kochavim Koneh. Says the Gemara, Shema Mina. So says the Gemara further, 5th line, How Gavra Damar Lechavre, Im Zabina la lehayara, lecham Zabina. Said to his friend, he said, you are my good friend. If I will ever sell this land, I'll sell it to you. I'm not selling that now, but if I ever decide to sell this land, I'll sell it to you. And according to the Ritzbah, he actually took a kinyan on the land right now. They did a kinyan, one of the kinyanim that works on the land, gadar, paratz, whatever it is, one of the kinyanim that works on a land. And he said, from now you are koneh whenever I want to sell. So if in 10 years from now I want to sell it, your kinyan now should work that from now already this was a kinyan. That's according to Ritba. So then what happened was very unexpected. Azal zavna leinish acharina. As the world has it sometimes, all of a sudden you wake up and you see he gave it to somebody else. He sold it to somebody else. Hayitachen, is it possible? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yosef, kana kama. Rav Yosef says, no. When he did it, the original guy, his friend that he promised it to, he is koneh. The kinyan has worked already, is his. Why? Because months ago or years ago, when he said, if I ever sell this, I'll sell it to you, and he made a kinyan, now that you see that he wants to sell it, already the kinyan that he did previously took effect, and now the land belongs to the first friend.
How does he make a kinyan on the land?
You make a kinyan on land by either fencing around it, right, or locking the doors on it, or doing some digging, something that shows ownership that only owners do on the land, right? You don't have to pick it up. That's right. That's correct. So says the Gemara. Amar le Abaye. Abaye asks a powerful question. And this is wait a second. You're telling me, Rav Yosef, that the first guy is koneh. Vehalo pasak. He didn't paskin any prices on it. Didn't discuss any price. What if he says, well, $2 million when it's worth only one? What are you going to do? He's going to buy. He's not going to buy. You have no semichudat. You have no reliance of mental comfort that he's going to sell it because you don't know what price he's going to say. He didn't say for what price he's going to sell it. He said, I'm going to sell it to you. So if he sold it for twice the amount, of course, it's not smichudat. And anything that doesn't have smichudat, the kinyan is farfallen, it's worthless. So says Abaye, therefore, it's not going to be koneh. He disagrees very vehemently with the psak of Rav Yosef. Right? And it's very sensible. The argument of Abaye is extremely sensible. So, you didn't make any psikat damim. So says the Gemara, and I'll prove it to you. This is how the Gemara brings this because of this passage that we just learned back in the Gemara by Yainesach. That's how we got into this whole thing. Says the Gemara, because we learned, Menatemra, the Korechadro Pasak Lokana. Well, how do I know that any time that you have no pisuk damim, you have not confirmed a price that it's not kinyan? It should be the Tanya that we learned in the Braita, our Braita. If you're selling wine to a goy, to Oved Kochavim, if you decided on a price before you gave it to him, before he did Mishicha, before he took the wine to his possession, Tamav Mutarin, then the money that you take from him later is mutar because the wine is his and he becomes Yain Nesach in his reshut. That's not my business, right? Madad at Shalom Hasak. But on the other hand, if you gave it to him, he did Meshicha on it before you decided on a price, a confirmed price, then the wine becomes Yain Nesach before it's the goy's. It's still mine because you didn't do Pesuk Tamim. You didn't do a good, but if he wants to buy it, he took it. But still is not a kinyan, it's not his, it's my wine still that becomes Yain Nesach. Now because there's no Pisuk Damim, there's no confirmed price. And when there's no confirmed price, says Abaye, you see from here this Braita, the kinyan is worthless. Even though that he does Meshicha, it's worthless. Because his mind is not calm. What if you're going to say 3 times the price? Until you confirm price, there's nothing to talk about. So it says, the Gemara, Pasak Tamav, Shelo Pasak. But if you did give it to him at Shelo Pasak, then Tamav Asurin. Then he becomes Asur because he became Yain Nesach, still yours. Never was transferred ownership to the Goy. So my Havala, the one says, okay, at the end of the day, by this guy that promised the land to his friend, what's the halacha? The one says, my Havala? What do you mean my Havala? I just brought you a raya from this Yain Nesach business that it's not. If he did not do Pisuk Tamim. And your case is that when he promised him, when I will sell this land, I will sell it to you, he didn't say what price, so therefore the kinyan is nothing. I just answered you. Well, I said, no. What I'm telling you is, Dilma, Chumra de Yainesach Shani. Maybe by Yainesach Chazal were more machmir. Now, even though that Meshicha by itself, without Pisuk Damim, without confirmed price, works, by Yainesach, we want to be machmir. So until you mamash airtight the deal and you confirm the price and he did Meshicha, it doesn't work. Maybe by Yain Nesach we are extra machmir, because by Yain Nesach we are extra machmir in everything, in every aspect of it. So maybe this is a chumrah, the Yain Nesach. But maybe by transactions of land, as long as you did a promise and a kinyan, maybe that should work, right? So says the Gemara, Tashma. Let's go through this. Rav Idi bar Avin said, Uvda Ava berav Chista. This question was asked to Rav Chista. Rav Chista was not sure about it, so he picks himself up. He goes to his friend Rav Huna. Rav Chista and Rav Huna were peers, and he went to sit and figure this bechavruta with his friend, right? Rav Chista berav Huna upashteh meha, and Rav Huna wanted to bring a raya from this Braita that we learned, the Tanya, Meha the Tanya, it should be. If a person's workers are bringing his fruits, his wine, whatever it is that he has, his produce, to his house, and now the owner wants to sell it to his friend. Right? So there's this owner, there's his friend that he wants to sell to, and there are workers that are coming. And the buyer took the workers with the fruits on top of their shoulder to his domain. He did mishicha on the workers, right? He took him in his house. Ben pasak at shelo madad, ben madad at shelo pasak, lo kana. Doesn't make a difference if he confirm the price. If he didn't confirm a price, it doesn't work. Why? Because there's no Meshicha. Right? You can't do Meshicha on a human being. The fruits are on his shoulders. Right? It's like, so you schlepping them into your house is not a Maaseh Meshicha. So you didn't do Meshicha. So even if you did Pisuk Ta'im, even if you confirm the price, so what? You confirm the price. You didn't take them. It's not in your domain because it's on the shoulder of the workers. You didn't do Meshicha. Right? And certainly, if you took them in and you didn't do Psuk Damim even, that for sure doesn't work because you have none. So that's for sure doesn't work. Says the Gemara, both of them could regret the kinyan and go back on their words. But but if he took him off the shoulders of the workers and then he took the fruits inside his house, so that's a valid kinyan, right? That's a valid kinyan. And now here's a complicated, the different sugyas in Rashi and in the Gemara. We're going to go according to the Rashash and the Marsha. So says the Gemara, Parakav v'ichnisa letoch beito, pasak at shelo madad, en shnehen yecholin lachzor bahen. If he did pisuk, if he actually confirmed the price, then they cannot back out. You know why? The Rashash says because it's in my chaser, and I have kinyan chaser. So as soon as you agree the price with me, I already have a kinyan happening every second because they're on my chaser, on my domain, and my chaser is koneh for me. Therefore, I can't back out and you can't back out. No one could back out. But madad at shelo pasak. But if you took it into your house, you made an acquisition without confirmed price, that's not the kinyan. Both of them could go back. Shenehen yecholin lachzor bahen. Both of them could go back because there's no confirmed price. Right? And says Rav Huna to Rav Chista, here's the same thing. Here's exactly the same scenario because you did not have Pisuk Damim with the first guy when you promised him the land, and therefore the Kinyan Abaye is correct, basically, says Rav Huna, and the first person cannot claim the land. It is sold already to the second person, and that would be the halacha. Let's just quickly go. I know we're almost out of time. So let's go through this next case. Gavra, similar case. Here the same case of promising a land. If I will sell this ever, I'll sell it to you. But here he also gave a price. I'll sell it to you for $1 million. Sell it to you b'me'ah zuzi, 100 zuzim. And he went, sure enough, and sold it to somebody else for 120. right? Now they come to the Bedin, what do we do, right? B'ma'avesin, Amar Rav Kana, Karakama. Rav Kana says the first one is koreb. What do you mean? You promised him. You promised him with a price. So this is like smichudat already, right? You had the pisuk damim. The whole problem was you didn't have pisuk damim. Here you have pisuk damim. So says the Gemara, Rav Yaakov ben Pakod, Rav Yaakov ben Pakod asks a kasha on Rav Kana, Matkifla, Hi Zuzi Ansu. He says that's not correct. He doesn't want to sell. He was forced to sell it because if someone comes to you, your house is worth $1 million, and someone comes and says, I'll buy it for $3 million. You don't really want to sell it, but you'll sell it because it's overpriced. You could buy 3 houses with that, so you'll sell it. It's not that you want to sell it for the market value. He only promised the first guy, if I want to sell it for market value, I'll sell it to you. But someone came and completely trumped that price and gave him 20% more, completely off the market value. The reason that he's selling it, listen well, the reason that he's selling it is because of that extra thing. It's not that he really wants to sell it. Imagine if you would want to exaggerate this. If someone comes and says, I'll buy it for 5 times the price because it's next to my other property, well, I want to build a big thing. These things happen. Even if you were sworn that you're not going to sell it, you'll sell it. Why? Not because you want to sell the house, but because they're forcing you to sell it in a thing that you don't want, and that's not considered part of the promise that he gave to the first person. Says the Gemara, vehilcheta, you like it or not? Says the Gemara, vehilcheta krav Yaakov min arpakot. That is the halacha that the sell to the second person does work, and it is binding. And the Gemara now goes through a discussion of Shuma. Let's just run through this if everyone agrees. Run for 2 minutes to get to the Mishnah. So it says the Gemara, if you say, you agree between the two seller and buyer, and it says, Kedeshaymi bitlata, the price will be whatever will be the assessment of 3. Now, that Lashon of Shuma is always a bedin, right? Assessment is usually the job of bedin. 3 is always 3 because you want it to be odd number that 2 out of 3 would determine it. So it says the Gemara, therefore, even if 2 of them agreed on a price, that already is sellable, so to speak, and the buyer could force the seller and vice versa to go through with the sale. But if he said, if he didn't say assessment, he says, as 3 people will say, then it's not a reference to Betin. The language is clear that I want 3 people to give price and then we'll decide. Therefore, 2 will not be enough. At the Amri Bitlata, you will need 3. Now, the Gemara says, however, if you said Kedeshaymi, if you said the verbiage of Shuma, of assessment, which references Bedin, but you said 4 people, then you clearly took it out of the meaning of Bedin and you mean nearly 4. So he says Kedeshaymi Barba at Amri Barba. Then you would need certainly 4 people to comment on it, and 3 out of 4 would not be enough. The Korshken Hechada Amalek the Amri Barba, and certainly goes without saying that if you say the Amri Barba, not Shaimi, that 4 people have to actually comment on it in order to be sellable. Amarle the Shaimi Bitlata Vatu Trata V'Shaimua. Now is a very interesting question. If they said, okay, as 3 people would assess, and 3 people came and assessed, and now you have a price, can the buyer say, well, I don't trust these people, they overpriced, I'm going to go bring 3 bigger experts? Can he force that? Can he force that or not? Let's bring another 3 people, that they're bigger experts. Amar Papa said, Dinahu the Me'akev. Papa said, yes, the buyer could actually stop the transaction and bring 3 more people. Matkifla, says the Gemara, Rav Huna asks a strong question on Rav Papa. This is Rav Huna Breh, Rav Yehoshua, Mimai. He says, how do you know? Who knows who's a bigger expert? Right? Experts, you have experts already, those experts, you'll never be finished. So says the Gemara, maybe these ones are better. And the halacha, says the Gemara, is Rav Yehoshua is like Rav Huna, but Rav Yeshua, that the first experts are trusted, and you don't have to go bring another expert, and therefore you enforce the sale on the buyer based on the original agreement. And Bezrat Hashem will start the next Mishnah in the days to come.